Hi guys, it's Jamie here. It's day 4 of the Junk Journal July challenge from Meg Journals, and actually what I'm doing today has actually been inspired by another channel who's taking part in this challenge as well, which is Roxy Creations. Rachel, I think her name is, and she's an Australian living in Italy, and she does lots of really beautiful crafting as well, and something she's very keen on is stitch work. I am no sewer. I mean, genuinely no sewer. I always said at school you could either do one thing or the other. You were either a sewer or a cook. It was very rare that you were both, and I was a cook, which is why my business is to do with cookery. But anyway, I felt very inspired by her, and today's challenge was, or is, details. As you can see from my former pieces of art, which are all on video as well, I'm not a detail person. So what I've done is I've glued just some little scraps on here because I'm going to actually do some wording on this, which will be relevant to the word details. And I have actually been out today at the hairdressers for the first time in about 7 months. So whilst there, I actually started. And I couldn't film myself, obviously. So I have actually started this. Now, I think Rachel calls this messy stitching, where you do long stitches and short stitches, and you already have what you're doing drawn up for you because it's a piece of material. And that's basically what I've been doing while sat having my hair done, is just, I'm not necessarily following all the colours where they're actually placed on this, just pushing the needle through and then doing stitches where I feel like it. I will be coming back on and off camera throughout this video because I am going to attempt to do different stitches, so it becomes almost a sample of 2 or 3 different types maybe of these. I suppose they're embroidery stitches, and this is going to be when it's complete, and I'll show you the different stitches as I go along. I will also show you obviously the finished project, and it's a bit different to me messing around with oil pastels. So bear with me. I'm going to sit and watch some of my favourite creators who are listed in the descriptions whilst stitching away. I've completed what I think I want to do in this scruffy long and short stitch, and now I've moved on to the centre of this flower, and here I'm doing something called a French knot. So with a French knot you come up, bring your needle through from the back, but before you put it back through, you take your thread and you wrap it round your needle 2 or 3 times, and going down near to where you were, you take the thread through and you create a bobbly type texture. Mine's loose because I'm not worried about it being perfect embroidery. If you were, you'd perhaps, I'm not going to go right next to that because I've got several colours to get in here, you'd perhaps hold it a bit tighter, so I can try doing that. I'm not going to promise I'm going to do it any better, but 1, 2, 3, hold it tight, go through, keep holding that thread close to the material, keep holding it very, very close, maybe even put a fingernail on it and pull it, and then you can see I've got a tighter result there than there. Obviously I am not, we'll do it once more, so up through, hold the needle, wrap the thread round. I'm doing it 3 times, but the standard I think is 2. As you pull that knot through, just hold it tight against the material to get a slightly tighter but textured 3D type finish. And I'm going to continue doing that in different places, mainly where the picture that I'm sewing into is dark, and I might do one over here somewhere. I'll try and do this one a bit better this time. 1, 2, 3, down near to where you came up, hold everything and pull it through. Something I'm thinking of doing is just putting details on this little machine. It's very 1970s. It does cute little labels, and with Fabrifix it might stick. Taking a bit of a risk here, because if it doesn't stick it's going to ruin all this work. So yeah, well, let's do it anyway. Okay, now how cute is that? And the reason I bought this back in November was when I reorganised the kitchen and decided I was going to label every single jar. I didn't want to pay for all that fancy online labelling. Let's see if it will fit and where it would fit, if it's going to fit. Obviously I'm going to cut it down a little bit. I think it would fit there. I'm just going to cut it very, very close. It does have an adhesive back, but I know that isn't going to be strong enough. And even on jars, what I do in the kitchen is I'll put it on the jar, but then I'll put like a really wide sellotape over. I did try sticky back plastic, but that didn't seem to work. But sellotape really does seem to work. So sometimes the cheapest solution is the best one. If it doesn't stick and it ruins it, I can stitch over it, maybe. Right, I'm going to let that dry off and then come back and do some seed stitching, which I've just learned about. I said I was going to look at seed stitch. I have done. It seems straightforward enough. It's basically very small stitches in a random direction with similar gaps between each stitch. So if we did a small stitch and made it that size, from then on I want to try and keep my stitches this length, but not necessarily that direction, the same direction. So it's like scattering seeds on a field. I imagine that's how it got its name. I chose flowers because I personally love flowers, and if anyone ever wants to buy me a gift, birthday, Christmas, anything like that, at my age I have most things I want, or if I don't have what I want I will go out and buy it for myself. But you can't go wrong buying me flowers. I just can't think how you can go wrong with flowers. I love all flowers, and I very rarely buy them for myself. I always mean to buy more flowers for myself, so I have fresh vases of flowers, but I never get round to it. I love flowers, therefore I used flower as the way for me to demonstrate detail. You are getting the idea of the seed stitch. It's not difficult. It might be a bit time consuming, but it's not difficult. And I will continue this off camera, as I have been with most of this, so not to bore you stupid, and come back when it's done so can finish off day 4 details. Look, knots now. I'm going to also tackle that knot off camera. Here we go then. I've done it. I've glued it in. Day 4 details finished. As you can see, I did the seed stitching here and round here. You've got your French knot here, and then your long short stitching here. And then when you lift this up, you've got now. The reason being is under here we have more to explain. Experience more. Think, feel, see, hear, touch, taste, smell, life's details. Now is to remind everyone to live in the now. I'm a big liver in the future, if that makes sense. So that's a reminder to me as well. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. I'll be back tomorrow with day 5, which is vintage.